Hey there, movie fans. So the first topic I'm going to discuss today is news that Gal Gadot said Wonder Woman 3 is happening with James Gunn and Peter Safran. So they are developing on Wonder Woman 3. I gotta say, I have mixed feelings about this news. One side of me is like, I love her in the role. I love the first Wonder Woman movie. It's one of my favorite DC movies. And to me, it was one of the most successful DCU movies to the old DC universe because it was critically a hit with critics and audience, and financially, it was a big hit. So to me, that was one of the biggest successes when it comes to but not just financially, but critically too, with the audience and critics. And I love Gal in the world. So there's that one side where I'm like, yeah, I'm excited because I love in the world. I love the first movie. And then there's the other side of me where I'm like, I think this is a bad idea because I feel like this is just going to confuse people if you bring them back. I know there's details that came out that it's going to be like a different version of the character where it's not Wonder Woman 3, it's a new Wonder Woman movie, but it's still the same actress, but she'll have things that are like connected to the old movies, but also things that make her different from the version we saw in the first two movies in the old DCU. And I just feel like even with that stuff, you still have her Gal Gadot. Again, I love her in the role, but if you're trying to reboot a DC universe and do a hard set reboot and really get a cohesive DC universe, because one of the issues I have with the DCU, besides quality being all over the place and the box office being all over the place, is the fact that I think one of the things that hurt the old DCU is that it was like the X-Men series of Fox, where there was a lot of movies that felt barely connected to me. It didn't even feel like a DC universe, the old DCU. And this does not make me really excited that you're going to try to have a DC universe that's cohesive if you bring back actors connected to the old DCU, which wasn't really completely clicking for a lot of people. And I also think you shouldn't really bring back any of these old actors if they're connected to stuff that didn't work. Like, the first Wonder Woman movie is beloved, yes, but then you have Wonder Woman 1984, which left a bad taste in people's mouths, and it wasn't very good. So it's just like I find this to be a questionable decision by James Gunn. Like I think to me, you need to do a hard reboot right now. I mean, look at the box office of the movies connected to old DCU, and I think people would just wait for the new DCU ones to start. And I just think bringing an actor back, whether it's a rebooted version, a different version of the character, bringing that actor back that's connected to a past movie that didn't work. Yes, the first movie worked, but Wonder Woman 1984 didn't. I feel like that connection could hurt the new DC universe. And like I said, this is not to me. I don't find this a good sign if you're trying to create a cohesive DC universe. So I just think this is a very weird, questionable decision to me. Like, yeah, as a fan, I'm like I'm excited, but I'm also worried. Like, this doesn't really put a lot of confidence in me personally as a DC fan that they're going to create a cohesive DC universe. Like Blue Beetle, I get where you could plug him in because it's a brand new character, and if the movie ends up being one of those movies where you don't see any actors from the old DCU in the movie, then I can understand why you could put him in the new DC universe, no problem if it's it. But I just don't think you should bring back any actors from the old DCU because it's just the old DCU just wasn't clicking for a lot of people, and I just feel like it's a mistake because you confuse. Like I said, you're confusing people, and this doesn't sound like a cohesive DC universe to me. So I hope, like I said, maybe maybe in the future I'll be like, okay, this was a good idea, and it didn't have, if James Gunn if James Gunn and Peter Safran do a great job of creating a DC universe, then maybe in the future I'll be like, oh, okay, well, I can see what they were going for, but right now I find this to be a very like I said, questionable decision and very mixed feelings on. The next thing I want to discuss is Scream 7 was announced. Now, I'm not surprised this because Scream 5 and Scream 6 were critically and financially hits, and the Scream movies aren't made for a lot of money. But I'm so happy to hear the Scream 7 now. I love Scream 5 and 6. I love the original trilogy. Yes, I even love Scream 3. I know that's considered the worst by a lot of fans. And I enjoy Scream 4. That's probably my least favorite out of Scream movies, but I'm a big Scream fan. Now it does say you're not going to see the same directors because I know Screen Pharmacist had two directors. You're not going to see them back. It's going to be the director who did the Happy Death Day movies and Freaky. Like I say, I'm excited for this choice. I actually love Freaky and Freaky with a Vince Vaughn, that horror movie, and they also did the Happy Death Day movies, because I love the first Death Day. I enjoyed the second one, not as much as the first one, but I think they're great choices. They have experience with horror movies that are kind of on the lower budget side too. So I think this director is a great choice for this movie, and I'm definitely excited to see a Scream 7. I'm happy to see it officially announced. The next thing I want to discuss is that James Gunn has confirmed that there will be DC animated movies released in theaters. Now I'm not surprised for this because he said like video games and the DC animated shows are going to be the ones coming up. Those will be DC animated and video games that are connected to the movies. So I'm not surprised for this. I do think this makes me think that maybe the straight to DVD DC animated movies might not happen anymore. Like I think you can still do them, but I'm excited for this news though to see that there's gonna be DC animated movies part of the DC universe in theaters. I think that's a cool idea. Something Marvel hasn't done, so it's definitely interesting. You're gonna have DC animated theoretical release movies too in the new DC universe, but I think that's really cool news to hear. Next thing I want to talk about is Teen Mutant Turtles is set for like a 35 to 40 opening, and they could see that opening with the great positive word of mouth. And I do think this movie's gonna have legs, and I highly recommend, like I said in my review on Facebook, go and see Teen Mutant Turtles Mutant Mayhem in theaters. To me, it definitely made me love the Toto film series again, and made me really excited to see more movies set in this version of the Turtles world. And this movie, I think this movie's budget is only 70. Like, it has a little budget like a Spider-Verse movie, so I could definitely see this movie having legs and like making enough money to get a sequel because of the budget and the positive word of mouth. So I'm just happy to hear this with the opening. The next thing I want to discuss is that Spider-Man 4 news that Thomas Haden Church has heard rumors of Tobey Maguire and Sam Raimi working on Spider-Man 4. And I know there was already this show, Tobey Maguire said he's decided to get back into acting after Spider-Man No Way Home. It's revitalized his acting interest, which I'm glad to hear that because I always thought he was a great actor. He kind of disappeared for a little bit there, so I'm happy to see he's going to be doing more films again. And as a Spider-Man fan, like for me, him and Tom Holland are my favorite live action Spider-Man, and those first two Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movies I love. They're some of my favorite comic book movies, and I would love to see a Spider-Man 4 just to kind of wipe away Spider-Man 3's bad taste, to get a better send off for his character. And I loved him in No Way Home. I would love for him if the rumors turn out to be true, I would love to see him get a better send off movie. Now, the only negative side of this is that I don't know if you want to have another Spider-Man verse going when you already have like the Tom Holland MCU Spider-Man. You have the Spider-Verse movies. You have the anti-hero Sony-verse with all the Spider-Man villains they're trying to do. That Sony's trying to do. I think creating a fourth Spider universe might be too much for people when it comes to confusing people. But I'm not gonna lie, I would be down for a Spider-Man 4 with Tobey Maguire and the cast from those first two movies. Because like I said, the first two movies I love. Spider-Man 3 I wasn't a fan of. And I would love to see him get kind of just a better send-off than what I got with Spider-Man 3. That's all the movie news until next time, movie fans.